Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech number 68, where we're going to look at the top 10 cards for M14, the new core set coming out. The pre-releases are coming up this weekend, and now is a great time to either pre-order or trade for these cards before people figure out how good they are. Now, jumping in with a little bit of a sad note, and then I'm going to end on a positive note. There's a few things missing from M14 that I'm really sad not to see there. The big one is Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is a $70 card at this point. It wasn't reprinted in Modern Masters, and we haven't seen it in the core set. So missing Thoughtseize is going to make Modern pretty expensive, and I hope to see it printed really, really soon. This set also is missing any type of cool land. So we've got Modern Masters that doesn't have any rare lands, and we've got this set now with no rare lands. Lands definitely bring up the value of a set. I understand that not putting them in Standard makes Standard a little bit more accessible, but older sets and older formats become less accessible if we don't continue to reprint lands. And one of the arguments was that we needed to open up spots in the Standard set to put in some more good cards, such as Mutavault. Now, I've got some suggestions of other things we could pull out. Maybe some of the standby standard cards that have been in lots and lots of sets but are no longer any good. Last time I saw a competitive Nightmare or even a kitchen table Nightmare was years ago. And Shivan Dragon is not a Thundermaw Hellkite. He is a relic of the past. Kids currently playing don't know who Shivan Dragon is, but they definitely know some of the stars like Thundermaw Hellkite. We need to readjust the way the set is done to make it a little bit more competitive and a little bit more fun to draft the way that Modern Masters is for the core set. Now, it doesn't have to be super complicated, but you can put good, solid cards in at all slots. I'm really concerned about the overall value of this set, given some of the lower quality cards that are in the set. The honorable mentions here are pretty big. I'm mostly sticking to new cards that are being printed, so although some wonderful cards are coming back, they didn't make it into the top 10 because they're not new, or at least not new to Standard. Ratchet Bomb is obviously amazing. Glade Cover Scout is just amazing also, especially given the auras that are currently available. And Doomblade is one of the best removal spells ever printed. This is a great way to deal with creatures that you don't want to do damage to, like Boros Reckoner. Now, I've got a few other cards here in the honorable mention spot. They're a little bit more EDH based or are lacking a particular deck as a home. Dark Prophecy is definitely going to make a splash in EDH. It's a wonderful card. I look forward to playing it there. Not sure that it's playable in Standard, but I will try to brew around it. Archangel of Thune could be amazing in a life gain deck. It's 5 casting costs, 3/4, great ability, life link, so it's not a bad defender. It's going to be a powerhouse in EDH, and it may even make a little bit of a splash in Standard. Life Bane Zombie. This is the most powerful card on the list that didn't make the top 10. What it's really missing right now is a deck. There really isn't a mono black deck. If people can cobble together or reinvigorate maybe zombies, this card will just be incredible. Removing green and white creatures from your opponent's hand and exiling them is great against the Reanimator strategies. It's really good for an aggro deck. So I'd definitely watch out for this guy and see if he finds a home in a deck. The Hydra that we've got here is definitely the best Hydra printed so far, but that's kind of like saying the best Tibalt Planeswalker printed, so a little bit on the questionable side. At 5 casting costs, I really want a creature to have haste or have some type of bigger impact on other creatures on the board. This guy is definitely susceptible to Doomblade. He's going to be a kitchen table favorite, but I just don't think he's competitive given the current removal in the environment. Number 10 spot here, Strionic Resonator, which I'm sure I mispronounced that, is just incredible in EDH, and may even see a little bit of play in Standard, depending on what the comes into play abilities are in the next few sets. Solemn Simulacrum is just wonderful, and Cascade is another triggered ability. There's so many good triggered abilities out there, and a lot of them are on really high casting cost permanents. 2 to put this thing into play, and 2 to activate it, bait it, make it wonderful. The artwork on it is actually pretty entertaining too. It looks like you just pasted some artwork onto a previously done island. In the number 9 spot, I've got Chandra Pyromancer. Now, I almost left her off the list entirely and didn't even make her an honorable mention, but it was pointed out to me a little bit earlier today that Chandra has the opportunity to be card draw in a mid-range deck, in kind of a Jund deck, as a way to win those longer games and to beat out control. I think she's got a little bit of use in that zero ability, but she is definitely not amazing, and not even in the top half of planeswalkers out there. Given a double red planeswalker that only does 1 damage when it comes into play, this just doesn't feel like a red planeswalker. I would be much happier with a Koth at this point. I look forward to the next Chandra. Maybe they'll finally do a great Chandra someday, but not today. Number 8 spot. I've got 2 white cards here, and I really divided over which one to put in this spot, so I just put both of them. Imposing Sovereign is nuts. This card is right in the tempo deck. Having your opponent's creatures come into play tapped cannot be underestimated. I'm currently using Blind Obedience, which isn't a creature for the same ability, and it has won me a lot of games. Making it an ability on a creature gives you potential for extra damage. On the other side here, I've got a real controlling card, which is Celestial Flare, where target player sacrifices an attacking or blocking creature. If your opponent only blocks your Geist with 1 creature, you can easily get them to sacrifice that, which also lends power in the tempo environment. So this could be a control card. It could also be a tempo card. I love what they're putting into white in this deck. Number 7 spot here, I've got Wizards, blue Wizards specifically. Elite Arcanist is going to take some brewing to make him work, but taking a instant card and making it reusable every turn is extremely powerful. He's a little bit high casting cost, and he's a little bit fragile, but he's the type of card that brewers are really going to enjoy. Tidebinder Mage also here is potentially very, very good, especially in older Legacy decks. May also see some play in Modern, and if they really make Merfolk a good tribe, or Wizards a good tribe, could even see some play in Standard. Number 6 here, Burning Earth. This is just the great anti-control card. Nothing makes me happier than beating a deck like Esper or Blue Red White that is trying to gain a bunch of life by making them lose a life every time they tap one of their 20+ non-basic lands. Number 5 spot here, I've got Young Pyromancer. This guy with cantrips or free spells has the potential to do incredible amounts of damage early on in Vintage, Legacy, and Modern. He's a 2/1, so he's got real damage on the board. He's a good clock that just multiplies all of those instants and sorceries that you have in your deck. I look forward to playing this guy. He's going to be a lot of fun to brew with. Number 4 spot here, I've got Garruk, Caller of Beasts. Very few people that I know so far have put him anywhere near this high on the list. I think they're underestimating the value of the +1 ability. If you've got a heavy creature build, even if this guy is only the top of your curve, and you've got a bunch of smaller creatures, being able to +1 and draw 3 or 4 cards is just nuts. This beats down control extremely well. Also, the -3 ability could definitely become a combo spell in and of itself. Number 3 spot here, I've got Encroaching Wastes. Do not underestimate this card. Every time they've tried to fix a land destruction spell, they make a better land destruction spell or a really good land destruction spell than they were intending to when they paste it onto a land. It doesn't matter if it's originally Strip Mine, later to become Wasteland, later to become Dust Bowl, later to become Tectonic Edge. Even Ghost Quarter, which replaces the land, sees some play. Encroaching Wastes is another example of an extremely playable land destruction card. This card is going to shape the environment by lowering people's curve. Your aggro decks are going to be able to play this as a 4-of, and if they hit that 5 mana spot, keep you from getting to your 5 and 6 casters. The mirror matches for control are definitely going to need this if things like Drownyard or Cavern of Souls are getting through the mirror matches. This is not as powerful as Wasteland or Tectonic Edge, but it is very powerful. I also think that this could be played in a ramp deck to move ahead of your opponent on the curve and then destroy the non-basic lands that they have out, stunting them early. Wizards has printed another very powerful land destruction spell here. Number 2 spot here, I've got Slivers. Maybe it's just my nostalgia, but I love these little guys. They are incredible. Do not underestimate them. Gale Rider Sliver is over the top good. Flying is incredible. Yes, he's only a 1/1 for 1, but look at what happens when Predator Sliver comes out in turn 2. He becomes a 2/2 flyer, and you're swinging in. Another Predator Sliver on turn 3, you've got a pair of 3/3s swinging in. Siphon Sliver and Bone Size Sliver have the ability to swing decks entirely. And although we did not see a Birds of Paradise, we have a Birds of Paradise Sliver here that is just incredible. You're going to be able to ramp, you're going to be able to do some damage, you back these guys up with a little bit of counter magic and a little bit of land destruction, maybe some card draw. You're going to have an incredible deck. Now, I know that we're missing something. We're missing the multicolored slivers. And part of the reason I've got these guys on the list as something to pick up now is if they continue this cycle in Theos and print the multicolored slivers that are missing here, these guys are just going to rock standard. We currently don't have Hibernation Sliver, we don't have Crystalline Sliver, and we don't have a big fatty like Sliver Queen, but that could easily be fixed in the expert sets. So watch out for these guys, pick them up while they're cheap, and plan on creating a great deck if we see those multicolored slivers reprinted. Now, in the number 1 spot here, this is not strictly a new card, but it's a new card to standard, and it's a powerhouse. Scavenging Ooze is just amazing, and where he's even more powerful is moving back to Modern. There are so many good cards that interact with the graveyard that Scavenging Ooze is perfectly primed to combat. Tarmogoyfs are much weaker when you're able to remove several creatures, lands, artifacts, planeswalkers from graveyards each turn. Deathrite Shaman is not so good when you realize that his mana ability is not actually a mana ability, it's a targeted effect that creates mana. When you remove the land they're trying to remove, they don't get mana. Stopping combo decks that include Gristlebrand and Living End are just incredibly easy to deal with when you've got Deathrite Shamans and Scavenging Oozes in the same deck. This is a very fair card. It's a card that I loved to play in Maverick, and I look forward to playing in Modern that may even make an impact in Standard. If there is some type of mechanic that looks at the number of legends in your graveyard or discarding cards intentionally in the upcoming sets, this is the answer you want. You don't want Rest in Peace because it doesn't attack your opponent and kill them. You don't want Ground Seal because you would rather have a creature that gains you life to beat the aggro decks. Scavenging Ooze is great. Tarmogoyf is currently a $140 card. Scavenging Ooze has the potential, if M14 isn't opened very much, to move up on the price scale and compete with Tarmogoyf in a lot of different decks. Thanks, this has been Brian Rowe with the top 10 M14 cards. If you've got any suggestions, you want to tell me where I'm right or wrong, please do it in the comments. I read every single one of the comments, or give me a shout on Twitter at Mythic MTG Tech. I answer those pretty quickly. Also, remember, this is being published before M14 has come out and anybody's got a chance to play. Please make your suggestions as soon as possible if you think I'm way off.